confident basketball now. Is a lot of new players, but a veteran group, kind of all in the same. Fred's doing a great job with this group. Obviously, they've got some really impressive wins. Purdue, Iowa, here of late, really in the last month. They've got a really dynamic group of guards that are older and veteran for the most part. A really dynamic point guard and wings that have some experience and are really playing well. They're playing well right now. So obviously we need to prepare well here today. Questions?
You talked after the game about how you can't make wholesale changes this time of year, and as a coaching staff, you have to sort of discuss what you can and can't change. What are those conversations like at this point of the season?
With our guys, you're saying?
Like as coaching staff, as you're trying to figure out what you can change or what you can try to do. What are those? Are those amicable conversations? Are you yelling at each other? Like what is that like as a staff trying to figure some of that out?
Well, I wouldn't tell you if we were yelling at each other. But like any competitive environment, emotions get raised, and arguments are normal any high level situation where there's a lot of pressure and a lot at stake. Emotions get involved, but we love each other and care about each other. But they're very honest and direct conversations among our staff. I think I think we, whether it's wholesale changes or not, I think, I don't know that I've talked necessarily about making wholesale changes as much as improving in some of the areas we feel like we got to improve in.
And when you're putting together a coaching staff, like you had to make a hire this off season, obviously you got a lot of things you have to factor in, but is thinking that there's going to be hard times during the season, you guys are going to have to put your heads together for situations maybe like this. How much does that factor into making sure you have guys on your staff that fit and make that all work?
Yeah, I think, I've said this before, my college coach, and it's an axiom in coaching, but, you're always looking for, whether it's staff or players, you're looking for a team that you can lose with first, that understands what it means to push through in a difficult situation. It's very revealing when you go through difficult things, and it's the first thing my coach said to me when I got into coaching 25 years ago is, you're going to be happiest when you find a group you can lose with first. No one wants to lose, but the reality is in college basketball you're going to lose games. And the idea is, what's the group made up when that happens?
Chris, do you think you've found what the issue is? Is it as simple as we got to shoot it better, or I need a healthy Kyle Young, or do you feel like you're kind of chasing a ghost here?
I think it's part of it. I think those are all factors, but I certainly wouldn't want to make excuses that it's just about those things. As coaches, we got to find a way to put them in better position. As players, they've got to play with confidence and step up, and we all have to do a better job. Getting healthy and having the same team on the floor is certainly a factor as well.
Chris, does this team know what its identity is and isn't playing to it, or are they still, you've got some very young players, are they still trying to figure out what that identity is?
I think we have a good feel for what our identity is. I think searching sometimes late for who our playmakers are, that is maybe evolving given the number of new faces and young faces. But I think we understand who we are as a group.
Caleb, I don't think he's a sloppy player, so I was really surprised when I saw he's the guy that leads the team in turnovers per game. Probably not per minute, but per game. Mm-hmm. Is he just sort of the victim of some bad luck and some bad passes, or is it you'd like to see him be a little better with ball security?
No, he can be better with the ball. He can be better with the ball, and he knows that. He is working in and out of traffic and double teams, and he's also, offensive fouls are obviously a turnover. So, but he can be better in those areas. He's a better passer and more sure-handed than what he's shown, and he's got to improve in that area.
What kind of instruction did you give to Wayne after Saturday? I assume it's film-wise, and what are you telling him? to explain to him why his minutes were what his minutes were?
I
how
just-
to get him back?
Yeah, I just did not feel like he was ready to play. I felt like he was not prepared to play in a tough environment on the road. I just did not feel like his mind was where it needed to be. And it was pretty evident even in the short minutes that he played.
How did that manifest itself? Defensively more so?
Attention to detail defensively, effort. I thought his effort was really poor. And I thought his attention to detail was really poor. I said to him, I'm wondering, where are you? You gotta be more locked in than what you are. We need more from you right now.
Chris, sorry, would we have a team that's just going through a funk offensive like you guys are? Is the inclination as a coach to slow it down and, I don't know, even like run even more set offense to try to coach them into better shots? Or would you rather, let them play either in your flow more or even run more and try to get easier baskets? And how that seems like it'd be a hard balance to try to figure out.
Yeah, it's, I think coaches go back and forth on that. I think the tendency as coaches is to try to control the game more when you're struggling offensively, whether that's set plays or whether it's slowing things down, to try to put the pieces where you want them to be. I think for us, we still have got to find ways to attack in transition, I think the right guys. I think that we still have to look at early post-ups in transition when we can. I think that's a conversation, one of the conversations we've had as staff. Do we need to play faster, slower? Those are conversations we're having.
Do you have a feel, I guess you're 16 games into this, for what your team would be better suited for in terms of those two things?
Well, I think you got to limit. Our most, by all accounts, our best player is a guy that needs the ball needs to touch the ball a lot of possessions. And if you're racing up and down the floor and shooting it too quick, you eliminate that opportunity. So it's different, and he obviously moves well. But you get my point. He's a big guy that we'd like to play through. So I think that answers it in a lot of ways for us.
I think one of your strengths early on was that you were hard to predict who would have it in a support of Caleb on any particular night. And then when you struggle, you don't really have a hierarchy on who's going to provide that. How do you determine as a coach to let that develop? Because I'm sure you prefer somebody assert themselves and take that. But you also may get to the point where you have to just say, I'm putting it in your hands. I need you to do more. How do you balance that thing of you prefer them to do it on their own, but you may not have that luxury?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to dictate some of that, in particular late, and kind of roll with the guys that we feel like are most capable in that situation late. I think throughout the course of the game, you're right, our balance was a strength for us. It's not, we've been too predictable, and part of that is maybe some guys struggling. It's allowed defenses to game plan for kind of one specific thing. I think we need more diversity. We need more production from more guys. We've got to help them as coaches. We need to get back to being a little more balanced in how we attack.
Coach, how do you feel EJ Liddell's adjusted to his role as a freshman year?
I think it's good. I think it's always a challenge. EJ's been bigger, stronger, more athletic than everybody he played in high school. Everybody. And he was bigger by, even though he's not necessarily a big guy at this level, he was bigger by a long shot. He also was able to score it like any freshman or any good high school player could score it. So his adjustment and how he's handling it is no different than any freshman that you look at all across the country who went from averaging 18 to 5 or 6. It's a normal transition. He's handled it really well.
Obviously, at this level, most of these guys are probably the guy on the teams in high school. But
Yes.
This is a kid who was putting up 42 points in a basketball game last year. I guess when you have that type of guy and all of a sudden his role is a lot different than maybe it's been at any point in his life, what's the conversation with him? How do you keep like his confidence level up?
Yeah, I think the conversation, a lot of that has to happen before, because this isn't high school basketball, right? So that conversation has to happen before he even plays a game. That, hey, understand what you're about to experience, particularly when we get into Big Ten play. It's not going to be anything close to even what you experienced as a freshman in high school. It's going to be completely different. So hopefully you're trying to prepare him for that. That doesn't make it easier, but you're trying to prepare him on the front end.